Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are y'all doing? I know the answer for some of y'all. Cold, cold, cold. Yeah, it's not so bad down here in Houston yet. I can't complain, not compared to what some of y'all are getting, but I know it's supposed to get down into the teens, even up in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So some of you further north, I'm feeling for y'all right now. Hope y'all are doing fantastic, though. Let me start off with the big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love reality TV. And I love you guys that come out here every Monday night and the ones watching on replay as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Always so much fun. Happy President's Day to you, right? Gosh, could you have any more excitement than we had? Starting off the weekend with Valentine's Day and finishing up with President's Day. I'm sure y'all went out and did crazy fun stuff to celebrate President's Day, right? What do you do on President's Day? There's not like any national dish to eat, is there? You don't get presents. You just kind of hang out, but whatever. Happy President's Day to all of y'all. I thought I'd celebrate in my own special way. All right. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, and maybe hitting that old thumbs up out there as well. It's always appreciated. And who knows what we'll do as we start getting into so much reality TV on right now. I certainly will be covering Big Brother. I got to figure out what else I'm going to be covering over the next few seasons. It just depends on what comes on and what catches my fancy. I got a few shows I watched and am watching, so we'll talk about all of that. All right, before we go any further, let me go out here and see who all I got online real quick, because I see all kinds of names flashing up there. Kennedy Franken. Kennedy, how are you doing, my friend? Marilyn Sutherland as well. Hi, Marilyn. Cass Wash, Brian Hotsteller. Guys, how are y'all? Audrey Cobb. Let's see. Ed's out here. Carol Mosier. Karen Hummer. Deserve to be on a $100 bill. Wouldn't that be nice? Deserve to have a few $100 bills, even sweeter. Angie's out here. Angie, how are you doing? My Canadian friend, I don't care what they say at those hockey games. Marilyn, I said Marilyn, I'll say it again. Howdy, Marilyn. Michelle Moore, Mark Taylor as well. That was quite the hockey game, wasn't it? Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. Let's see. Mark Taylor. Let's see. Ma, howdy. Hope you're doing fantastic. I hope you're staying warm. Let's see. Michelle Moore, Big Jake 88, Colleen. Let's see. Cindy. Cindy, I may have said before, but howdy again. Paul Long, Amanda, and I think that's about it. I'm trying to go through these quick. Kenty, and let's see. I think that's about it. If I missed any of y'all, I'm sorry about that. Jacqueline Newberry as well. I didn't want to forget you, Jacqueline. And we'll stop it right there. A lot of y'all out there. It always gives me warm fuzzies when I see that. And we need as much warm as we can get, right? Yeah, a little cold. I'm dog sitting, right? My son and daughter-in-law are doing some things. So we're dog sitting. Of course, I'm the one who gets to be the dog walker. Not so bad when it's nice and sunny outside. Not so much fun when it's raining outside, or now when it's getting a little bit colder. We'll go out and do some walks here in a little bit. I'm surprised she's sitting there next to me. Surprised she hadn't already begging me to go for a walk. She's a strong dog, as I've learned. But anyway, moving on to something else. Let me see if I got a few questions out here. I know I got a few things to talk about, but real quick, let's see what y'all got going on this week. Marilyn Sutherland, when does Deal or No Deal Island come on? Got caught up on it. Excited to see where it goes. Welcome aboard. For a show that's basically based on random picks of a bunch of briefcases, there sure is a lot of interesting strategies with that, right? I am not sure when it's on. Tuesdays, maybe? Tuesdays. All right. That's the thing. I don't necessarily know when these shows are on, because they're all, we record them and then watch them when we get a chance. Mark saying, do you like this year's Deal or No Deal setup? Yes and no. I really like the strategy part. I've not been a big fan of Dr. Wills this season, but I did like last week when he was playing the banker. Oh, spoiler alert. If you haven't caught up, just plug yours for a few minutes. I always forget about that. Dr. Will, he played the banker last week. I kind of like the fact that he's just picking 1, 2, 3, 4, completely blowing off this. It drives me bonkers. I shouldn't be that worried about it. But it irritates me when all the people on side are saying, oh, you pick number 4, pick number 6. Yeah, I get it. Everyone's got their favorite numbers, but at the end, It's just random draws. You right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. Having said that, every time they play the banker, I pick a briefcase to see how I would do if I was up there. I guess that's just human nature, but uh, the randomness of it, whatever. But the strategy part's kind of cool. Last week, I thought it was neat that they were having to grab briefcases, but not for themselves, but for someone else. And they decided who that someone else was. So you could really screw someone over if you don't like them. You could grab their briefcase and grab a high dollar one if you wanted to protect them. I like people having to basically call out their loyalties or their enemies with that kind of strategy and that kind of task like they had last week. So I like that. Here's what I'm still not real comfortable with. There are people like Dr. Will who want to play the banker because they feel like it gives them more control. And I get it. I understand it. And I'm not necessarily arguing against it. Now, at the end of the day, if you play the banker enough times, eventually the odds are going to be against you, right? But I do get it. And so it's kind of a weird deal of, from a strategy standpoint, do you want to play the banker or would you prefer to have someone else do it? Which means that if someone else does it and wins, you could get sent home without even having a chance to play against the banker and briefcases and all that. And I would hate that. I'd hate to be on that show and never get that chance. But it seems to me it's a little bit like Big Brother when someone volunteers to go on the block. When these people are volunteering to go up against the banker, not quite as bad because you think that you're going to have more control, but still, yeah, y'all know what I mean, right? So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out some of the strategy on this game, and maybe there isn't a solid you should or you shouldn't. It just depends on who the people are. Having said all of that, I forgot until I was looking at a little recap earlier. Cliffhanger. We don't know what's going to happen. If I recall, CK was up there and had a real high number and a real low number, and then they cut off. So we aren't going to find out what happens until Tuesday. Well, she kind of dug a hole for herself, didn't she? For those of you who may have forgotten, just as a refresher, without going into all the details, she got called out for looking in the box and pulling out a chip. I don't remember who she's pulled out. Phillips, I don't remember. But pulling out a chip and watching and got called out for it. And she acted so upset. It's like, oh, I need to go in and face a banker now to make up for the fact that I did. That's not who I am and all that. Whatever. Get away with whatever you can while you're playing a game. I guarantee when I was playing Big Brother, if I could have somehow snuck a look when I was pulling the veto chips out of the box, I would have done it in a heartbeat. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to call me out on it? Whatever. I don't know if y'all remember, during Big Brother, I actually only got to pull the chips once during my HOH. I pulled the chips out, had all the people set up, and then Jack Matthews used his activity power to reset the veto comp players, and they did it all over again. If I recall, the only thing that changed was that Holly didn't get to play and she was supposed to, and I picked her name. You're welcome. And then Jack did not pick her name when we drew again. So yeah, one of those things. But anyway, I remember we were so certain. Holly played so few of those veto comps. Nicole played so few of them. We really questioned whether their chips were in that box or not. I checked when I went back into the storage room one time. They were there. It's just truly random draw. No one ever believes that, but truly random draw. But having said all that, she felt so bad that she got caught looking. Whatever. Get away with whatever you can when you're playing these games. If you can figure out a way to get sneaky, so be it. Little story for y'all, having to do with not cheating, just seeing how far I could push the envelope. Do y'all remember during my season of Big Brother, we had it was during prank week. All night long, they're playing bird sounds. Cheep, cheep, cheep. This is the captive white owl. This is the free white owl, and they make different sounds. Why would they make different sounds? I don't know, but we were just trying to keep up all night long, trying to remember all these freaking bird noises. I finally got to the point saying, God, I just need somehow to figure out how to make this work. And I took one of the ice chests. I put a bunch of talcum powder in the bottom of it. And then I just kind of reached down with my finger, use that talcum powder so I could write. And I could write in the talcum powder and remember the different sounds for the different birds. I did that for 3 or 4 of them before suddenly Big Brother called me at the diary room. I walked in, they said, "Cliff, yeah, you know you aren't allowed to write, you aren't allowed to take notes. You need to go get rid of that talcum powder immediately." I said, "Yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to argue with you. That's fine." I went back out. I took it. I shook it up. I said, "Here you go, Big Brother." That was all that was said. They just wanted me not to do it anymore. Hey, if I'd gotten away with it, so be it. But anyway, there you go. No, I'm enjoying Deal or No Deal, Alan. It's been a lot of fun so far. All these reality shows out there, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. All right, Cindy Hire saying birthday is in 2 days. Well, happy birthday to you early, Cindy. So Wednesday, Wednesday. Think about that for a second. Feliz cumpleaños to you, Cindy. Happy birthday, my friend. I hope you got all kinds of fun stuff lined up. Congratulations, my friend. Always a nice celebration when you celebrate one more year circling around the I was gonna say the earth, but actually circling around the sun, right? Happy birthday. I'm glad to hear that. I'll be thinking about you on Wednesday. Carol Mocher saying, who do you predict to win the Traders? I think Carolyn. I think that is an incredibly fine choice. Have we had Suri won. I mean, we've had traders win before, right? They haven't always been exposed. And yeah, I could certainly was it to Shell? I can't remember some of these real wives when they get burned or sent out, but for those of you who are still waiting for Deal or No Deal, and come on back. I didn't do a little hand gesture. And now spoiler alert for traders. But no, when the person last week got murdered, I know she was very surprised. Said, Danielle, I don't doubt it at all. I was not surprised at all. Carolyn, a little bit more. No, I think Carolyn's doing a fantastic job. I think she was right to resist Danielle wanting to bring in Brittany as a third trader. Those two are so tight. Now, the only thing I can see about that is if the two of them are working together as traders, I feel like because they're so tight in this game, the rest of the house is going to target one or the other of them, whether they're a trader or not. But just because, why would you keep those two in the house like that? So I feel like they're eventually going to go after one or the other. And if they do, and it's then revealed they're a trader, then I would feel like as Carolyn, it takes a little bit more pressure off of me because we already had, was it Tom? I can't keep track of all them. Tom or Inverness or whatever. Someone I think maybe it's Inverno, the local guy, the UK guy, had said that, hey, we've already gotten 2 traders out and they were both guys. There's got to be a female as a third trader. I'm all for that. I think that's a reasonable assumption. That's what I would be assuming while I was playing the game. And so I feel like there's a segment of that house that's going to be targeting the ladies. So if you got Brittany and Danielle both as traders, and one of them is out of the house, well, then suddenly that takes the pressure off Carolyn because now they're like, all right, we got rid of the woman, right? Now who knows who the last person may be, or last 2. So there's some things I see that would make me as Carolyn think, maybe having her in here wouldn't be the end of the world. But this season, we've seen these traders betray each other so much. If it was a past season, maybe Carolyn would have gone for it. But this season, she doesn't trust Danielle at all. I'm sure she thinks if Brittany gets in here, it's going to be a whole lot easier for 2 traders to throw the third trader under the bus as opposed to just one, right? So I think she's right not letting that happen. That was a cliffhanger too, right? We don't know, I don't think, because they've got the option of, do we bring in another person to be a trader or do we kill someone else instead? We don't know what the answer to that is, right? I don't think so. Unless I fell asleep at the end, and I highly doubt that. But no, I'm loving that. I still think Danielle's overplaying a little bit. I will say this: Sam was the one who came up, I think, said, hey, all these people apparently went before Alan Cummings, the people who were marked for murder, who were not immune. They all had to show up. And it was either him or it was the traders. And he had the brilliant observation that means that whoever is a trader may not have seen Alan. Let's ask him what he was wearing. Brilliant. Carolyn she's like the deer in the headlights coming in How do you respond to something like that? They ask her that. She kind of, she's lucky that she kind of him haws around no matter what the question is. So it wasn't so obvious. Otherwise, they got her dead to rights, right? I think they had her anyway until Tom Sandoval opened his mouth a little more than he should have and gave her some information. I think he just said about wearing black. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so she snuck out of that little trap by the skin of her chinny chin chin. Yeah, it was close, and I had a whole new credit to Sam for coming up with that idea. And it makes me a lot more nervous about ever playing that game and being a traitor. You would have to really watch out for that, right? And figure out where are the potholes that I could get trapped on. Someone asking me something that I just physically don't know because I'm not a faithful. That's brilliant. I love that move. Having said all that, what a creepy little challenge having to go in and finding all those dolls and backward talking dolls. And yeah, that's the stuff made of nightmares, right? I'm amazed that they got it as well as they did. Listening to a doll, going back and recording it, and then someone else has to sing it into a machine and play it backwards, and they figured it out, supposedly. For all I know, they waited to the very end. For all I know, it was a little easier than we thought, but at least from what we saw, they looked at it. I had fun watching the game and playing along as they were playing the dolls, trying to see in my head if I could play it backwards. I got one or two, but there are a few I didn't get right either. But creepy dolls everywhere. I will say this: it brought up some memories of my own weekend because because my mom, who passed in October, there getting everything ready for estate sale. You gotta get rid of some stuff and all that. Well, she had a lot dolls kind of inherited from a great aunt. That no one has kind of creepy doll, old dolls, vintage. We'll call them vintage dolls. She had several containers of those that we just kept out in the garage. I think the only time those containers got opened is when someone like me or my son, Daniel, who dated it as well, when one of us would grab one of the creepiest dolls and go hide it in the corner or go hide it in the bathroom in the middle of the night when someone got up. We had fun with a few of those dolls, hiding them in inconspicuous places. I know my son put one up on the fan blade. So his wife got into bed, looked up, saw this doll looking out of the fan blade towards him. Yeah, that was fun. Well, it was fun for some of us, but they've got all the dolls set up in one room selling these things. And there's some of them that have a little value to them, but creepy, creepy, creepy. And you know what burned me on dolls? Now I love G.I. Joes and all that action figures, right? You know what burned me on dolls? Y'all remember the old show? Some of y'all may remember. A few of you may remember. Back in the 70s, the old Night Gallery, I think, episode of horror TV. A little Hulu warrior or something. Hawaiian warrior with a little spear, and he goes on a rampage and is chasing, I don't remember who it was, this actress all over the house, yelling and screaming and just creepy. Anyone who was a kid of the 70s knows exactly what I'm talking about. Creepy little show. And from that point on, yeah, dolls just didn't do it so much for me. All right. Again, I feel like I'm getting off on tangents, so we'll move on to some other things. Carol is saying it's 15 degrees here in upstate New York. That's too cold for me. I'll just leave it at that. Cass Wash is saying 1 degree in Milwaukee. Not even. Angie's saying minus 20 degrees here. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? At that temperature, it doesn't really matter, does it? At minus 40, I think Fahrenheit and Celsius are the same. I'm just one of those little trivial facts I knew once. Ed saying 46 degrees here. Colleen saying 54 degrees here. Y'all are reaching my levels here. And Lori Kelly is saying record highs in Phoenix next week. Well, there you go. Yeah, some people, this weather doesn't know what to do. I don't know what it is here. It's probably in the 50s or something. It's not horrible, but yeah, and especially with some of you guys. I watched. We'll talk about it a little more. I watched a show about called the Snow Express, Society of Snow. I think it was a story about. Sharon and I watched this. I think it's on Netflix. It was a story about the 1972 crash of the Uruguayan rugby team. Crashed up in the Andes Mountain, and we're up there for 60-something days. And let's just say it wasn't a Hawaiian tropical luau that they had up there. They ate some crazy stuff, but it wasn't pineapples and roasted pig. Now it was It sounds horrible. No, it was a very intense movie. Talk about it. It's a true story. There was a movie, I don't know, in the 90s called Alive. There was a book before that which I read, and at the end, unfortunately, I don't remember how many people survived. Of the 40 people on the plane, less than half, but there were some survivors. But the only way they survived six, and they're up in the middle of nowhere. It's nothing but ice and snow. The only way they survived was, unfortunately, by having to eat the only food that was available, and that has to do with the 26 other people who weren't so fortunate to make it through. Yeah, and I know it sounds creepy, and I will say this. I mean, that was when the book came out. I remember as a kid reading that. I was like, oh, God, it's like Donner Party and stuff. A whole nother similar story. But it was horrible, and there was a lot of focus on this. This movie, there wasn't as much focus. There was a lot of talk about, do we do what we have to do to survive, or do we just throw our hands up and trust in God and all that? And so there was some philosophical stuff. But they didn't put the focus on that. The focus is more about just survival and supporting each other. Cold, oh, so cold up there. My absolute worst nightmare. It was cool when they did the movie, because we found out afterwards that some of the people, the real survivors, had cameos in the movie. One guy who survived played the father of one of the people who was on the plane that survives, and so that was kind of cool. And they showed some real pictures at the end and all that. But while we're watching this movie, all I can think, one, is I can't stand the cold. Y'all know that, and how miserable I would be up there. God, I can't think of a worse. Give me Tom Hanks and Castaway. I don't care. Bad teeth and all. Put me on an island as opposed to putting me up in the Andean mountains where it's -40 and snows and avalanches and horrible conditions. But the other thing, all I could think about while I was watching that movie is how close I came to my own personal adventure up in the Andean mountains as well. So with that being said, I got a little travel story for you, and then we'll get back to some reality TV and such. I told this, I think, one of the very earliest Cliff Notes when I was still on TV Co and all that. I don't think I've told this in a while. I use this as one of my stories when I was getting cast for Big Brother. I used to spend a lot of time in Venezuela, oil and gas. So of course I go down there a lot. And I would always fly between Caracas, Venezuela, and Maracaibo, two different sides of the country, but both along the coastline. Never could get from Houston to Maracaibo. Always had to fly Miami to Caracas, spend the night in Caracas, then fly over to Maracaibo. And that was just the way we did it. Well, one time I was supposed to go from Maracaibo to Caracas, last flight of the day. I show up at the airport and they say, "Oh, Senor Hogg, the flight's been canceled." Oh, don't do that to me. I want to get home to my family. I think there's an Aggie game the next day as well. I said, the flight's been canceled, but we've got another flight that we can put you on instead. This flight isn't direct. You've got to fly to a little city called Barquisimeto first. And then from Barquisimeto, you'll change planes, you'll stay on the same plane. It lands, but you don't have to get off the plane. And then from there, you'll fly to Caracas. No, all right, well, fine. I've never been to Barquisimeto. Don't know really where it is. Well, I checked later, and Barquisimeto is in the middle of nowhere. It's basically just a little next to the Andean mountains, just for a little precursor to this story. All right, no worries. Because they put me on this flight last second, just so I can catch my flight, it means I'm the last person to get on the plane. Sure enough, I get a seat in the very last row of the airplane. One of those seats that can't recline backwards because the toilet's right behind you. And yeah, just horrible. So I get in the seat. Well, it's only an hour and a half or so to get to Barquisimeto. Since it's not the end of the world anyway. But I'm sitting in my seat. There's no one sitting next to me. I've got the row to myself at the very back of the plane. The plane takes off. It's a little bumpy. It's not the most smooth flight up in the air, but it's because we're flying over the Andean mountains. As we're going up, pretty quickly, we're completely enveloped by clouds. Can't see anything. It's just nothing but clouds. We're flying along. We're bumping a little bit here and there. And again, it's not the best flight ever. All of a sudden, a woman comes up to me, speaking to me in Spanish. Now, back then, especially, I spoke decent Spanish. I'm a little rusty nowadays, but she starts speaking to me, but she is speaking so fast, I can barely understand what she's saying. She's saying, can you see? Can you see? It's like, can I see? I don't, I can't, what? Outside. I looked out, I couldn't see anything. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't see anything. I habla inglés." "Oh, you speak English?" "Yeah, yeah, I speak English." So she says, "Yeah, no problem." She said, "Can you look outside? Tell me if you see the mountains. We're too low. We're too low. We're not high as we need to be. We're going to crash." Well, I know we're flying over the Andean mountains. And so, I'm a little nervous, but she's obviously a little concerned. But I looked out and I said, "No, it's nothing but clouds. I can't see anything." "Oh, ayúdame," and really nervous. And she said, "We're too low. This is not good. Can I sit next to you? And will you tell me as soon as you see how high we are?" Well, yeah, of course I will. She sits down next to me. She puts her hands on the seat and she is gripping so hard that all of her knuckles are white. I mean, ghost white. She's gripping it. She's got her head down. Ayúdame Dios. Help me, God. Help me, God. Help me, God. Well, that's kind of scary, right? You get kicked off flights nowadays for more less than that, but kind of scary. The scary part, though, is I look over there, I see her. She's wearing all black. And then I realized that she's wearing all black because she took off the little scarf bandana thing that flight attendants on the plane wear. Yes, indeed. It's the flight attendant for this flight who is the one that is telling me we're too low. The plane's about to crash. There's something wrong with the plane. It's a small plane. It probably held 40 or 50 people, just like this plane that was in the movie. And needless to say, once I realized that she's a flight attendant, my face was glued to that window. Absolutely glued to that window. I may have said a few Ayúdame Dioses myself at that point in time. And of course, I'm looking around thinking, all right, well, the biggest guy on the plane gets eaten. And that may be me, unfortunately. Looking around, seeing who would be the tastiest of the folks on this plane if we get into the worst kind of situation. And thinking I'm very happy that I've got some Pop Tarts and some Fig Newtons hidden away on my carry-on luggage. Um, yeah, that'll last a while. I look out that window and I'm watching and I'm watching. And finally, after about, it felt like an hour. It was probably about 5-10 minutes. We break through the clouds. There are some scary mountains down below. We're talking massive, badass looking mountains, snow everywhere. But fortunately, they're way down underneath us. Seems like high enough. I kind of was looking forward to make sure there weren't any bigger peaks on down the road there, but we're fine. I told her, I said, "No, look, I see them. They're way down there. I think we're okay." "Oh, gracias, gracias, gracias." And she's so excited. I'm pretty excited myself. At which point she said, "I hate flying. I hate flying." I said, "You're a flight attendant. Well, what are you doing flying if you hate flying?" "Oh, it's a good way to learn English. This is my job that I learn English." Okay. All right. So made it the rest of the way, made it Barquisimeto. I didn't have to get off the plane. She didn't get off the plane. She was staying all the way to Caracas. It took a little bit of discipline for me to stay on that plane knowing that she was my flight attendant. I'll put it this way. If we did have a crash, I'm not waiting for her to give me instructions. I'm kind of feeling I'm on my own, but yeah, so that was my close encounter with surviving up in the mountains of the Andes and having to make difficult choices. It was scary. It was one of my scarier moments of my life. So anyway, I told that story while I tried out for Big Brother, and I don't know, maybe I think it got people's attention. True story. I mean, it truly did happen, and I've had some bad plane flights over the years. That was a scary one. So there you go. All right. I have need to say, watch when you're in the right mood. Watch Society of Snow. It was an incredibly intense movie. It's in Spanish. I think it was filmed in Spain with subtitles or dubbing, but incredible movie. Really good. All right. Angie Hung is saying, "Glad no casualties in the overturn." I saw that in the overturned Toronto plane. And the U.S. Canada finals are on Thursday. So did Canada make it through? I knew there was. They had to beat. Was it Finland to get through? Well, that'll be an exciting. God, I'm from Texas. We aren't necessarily the biggest hockey fans. 1980, Lake Placid, U.S. beating Russia, top notch. One of maybe my big favorite sports moment of all time. I can't think of anything right now that is greater than that. There's no World Series, no nothing. That is the most amazing event ever. So yeah, Olympic hockey, I'm all there for. Regular hockey, we're not as passionate as the Canadians are, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be watching this game on Thursday night, right? I don't know what it is. I mean, some of y'all Canadians, Angie or someone's telling me, why do they let them fight so much? They could stop it, right? You don't have fighting in basketball or football or anything else or soccer. I mean, imagine a bunch of people in soccer fighting. They're too busy flopping. But I guess that's just part of the game, right? You let them come to blows every once in a while. Well, they came to blows in the first 9 seconds or so of that match. I'll be watching Thursday night. I'll be wearing my red, white, and blue. But hey, nothing against my Canadian friend. I don't care what other people say. I love y'all guys, and I'd be happy to take Alberta as the 51st state. That seems like a bad thing to say. Now, I mean it in the best possible way because I'd feel like we're peas in a pod. That's what I'm saying, Angie. But now it's going to be a fun game. As far as the crash, what is going on with all these planes? That's just one of those things nowadays. But yeah, I'm glad no one is injured. Or no, I guess there were injuries. I saw something like 15 injured. I'm glad no one was killed in it. Yeah, it's just, as a kid, it seems like we had plane crashes all the time. And I mean, God, 2 747s crashing into each other, Canary Islands, just horrific stuff when I was a kid. We had a plane crash in Dallas Fort Worth, right before I crashed into a highway, right after I drove on that highway. Yeah, but seems like everything's going pretty well. Now we just have kind of a streak of bad luck. Yes, I'm glad that no one's killed on that one. And yeah, it's a shame. I just heard about this. Well, I know it just happened today. I just heard about it right before we went on the air. All right, Mark Taylor is saying, and now moving on to more cheerful news, hopefully. Mark's saying, any word on Big Brother pushing up the start time for the first show now that Big Brother Canada is gone? I haven't heard anything about that. It would not surprise me, especially now since they're already casting. Last week, I think, was when it started. Now, when I did my, God, was it February or March? I'd have to go back and look now. Suddenly, I can't remember. It seems like casting maybe started just a little bit earlier than in past seasons, but I don't know that for certain. Now, here's the thing. There's no overlap. It used to be Robin cast for Big Brother Canada and for Big Brother USA. So, they would finish casting for one before casting then for Big Brother Canada, and then Big Brother Canada would get wrapped before they start casting for the summer of Big Brother USA. So you had some overlap there, but production is different. You don't have the two, you don't have production working on both shows. You never did. And now the casting had gone away as well. Doesn't matter since Big Brother Canada's gone anyway, but yeah, I think it's possible that they could bump it up. I don't think they'll bump it up too much. I think they see Big Brother as very much a summer show. So I don't think you'll see late April, early May, anything like that. I think they're going to wait till The Amazing Race and Survivor gets through their little spring seasons, and then they'll see when they want to start up Big Brother. I would not mind if it started more like my season did, or middle June, somewhere like that, as opposed to waiting after the 4th. And then it gets into September, and then you got Sunday night football games, and suddenly you got Big Brother episodes that don't come on till midnight, it seems like. And there's just a lot of other stuff that gets in the way. Keep it completely the summertime by moving it up a little bit earlier. Perfectly fine with me. But having said that, Mark, now I haven't heard anything official that's going to get moved up. I kind of like it too. It makes sense that they would, but they didn't consult me either. So I don't know. I'm ready for it. I am ready for, I love the last season of Big Brother. I thought the winner deserved it. I thought, some people deserved it more than others, but I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed the cast, but I'm ready to see who they get for the next season. All right, Ma is saying, Ma, I hope you're doing well. Ma is saying, people willingly going on the block get on my nerves. Oh, I know it. I know it. And that's coming from someone who I didn't want to go on the block. It's not that. But there were two different situations where one time it was Nicole and I, and Jackson Mickey was had just gotten the HOH on the slip and slide, and I thought he was going to try to burn one of us because we'd agreed to work with Tommy and Nick and everything if they would keep me alive for another week, which, I make whatever promise, whatever deal it takes if it means staying alive. But I figured now he's going to come after Nicole and I. So I actually went to him at that point and said, hey, look, this was me that was the one behind that. Put me up. Don't put Nicole up. I felt guilty a little bit. And so I was trying to protect her. As it turns out, he had bigger targets in Christy anyway, so it worked out. Christy and Nick, so it worked out fine. And then when Nick was HOH, uh, he convinced me that I was safe, and he thought I was safe, and we didn't know that the plans were afoot. But I thought I'd be okay being up on the block. I wasn't. I'm glad I won that battle back. But no, I absolutely agree with you, Ma. Don't ever volunteer to go on the block. Christy brought me in first week, said, "Hey, Cliff, we want you to go on the block." I didn't volunteer. It's the last thing I wanted to do. But once you know that you're going to go up, there's two things you can do. You can gripe about it and make them think that you're going to hold it against them for the rest of the season, or you can just pretend like it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, okay, I trust you when you say I'm not the target. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I understand. I'm safe. You wouldn't be putting me up there if I wasn't safe. So yeah, Christy, no problem at all. No worries whatsoever. Well, no, it's always a problem, but you can't let on that that's the case, because then they'll come after you from that point on, figuring that as soon as you get power, you'll go right back after them. So that was, but you always remember it. I know when I got HOH, I really thought long and hard about putting Christy up, but I didn't know at the time she had her whacktivity power, but also I really wanted to try to work with Christy. I didn't realize how sneaky and strategic she was at the time, but I wanted to work with her because I thought she was a pretty good player, and better, keep your enemies close, or your friends close and your enemies closer. And so I didn't put her up as a gesture of good faith, hoping that we'd work together. Never worked out. Never did. But hey, I made the effort. But yeah, I agree with you, Ma. Don't ever volunteer. Take it from someone who was in that. Don't ever volunteer. It never works out for the best, or rarely does. All right. Ed is saying, are the traitors going to recruit or murder? We don't know, do we? And then Ma saying, good about wouldn't mind Brittany as a traitor. I wouldn't either, Ma. I mean, Brittany's one of my favorite Big Brother players of all time. Her confessionals during Big Brother were incredible. She's just a fun person to watch. I think she's a nice person. I mean, I've never met her, unfortunately, but she seems like a very nice person. And I would love to see her as a traitor. But if I'm Carolyn, I'm not letting that happen. There's no way I'm letting her join. We talked about that a second ago, but yeah, I don't know that I'd do that. Are they going to recruit or murder? I don't know. I don't know strategy wise what the best approach is either. If you have more traitors, then I suppose you spread the wealth around a little bit. There's a better chance that someone else is going to get banished and there'll be a traitor, and then maybe it takes a little heat off of you. So I see the reason that you would want to recruit, but at the same time, the quicker you can murder everyone, the quicker this game comes to its conclusion, right? So I think it comes down to this. If you feel that there are one or two people that are truly suspecting you and wanting to come after you, maybe you have to go ahead and get them out of the house, even if it exposes you a little bit. So if I'm Danielle and Carolyn's not letting me recruit Brittany, just absolutely is not letting me recruit her, then I may lean towards murdering someone, because I feel like Brittany's getting called out a little bit more than anyone else. If I'm Carolyn, that no one at all suspects, then maybe I'll recruit. Of course, you can also murder someone and no one will suspect you. If I'm Carolyn, I may try, because she doesn't trust Danielle, right? So maybe find someone that you can murder that's going to put the blame, the suspicion on Danielle. Of course, Danielle's smart enough to not agree to that. And that's the problem. They can't agree who to recruit. They can't agree who to murder. It really makes me curious. What are the rules if you only have two people and you can't decide on what you want to do? Do they draw rocks? Do they both get banished? I don't know. I don't know if we know what it is either. If y'all know, tell me. I don't know what happens if you cannot agree. Maybe nothing. Maybe no one gets murdered, and then people get awful kinds of suspicious. Maybe someone gets to come back. Maybe that's their way to get Boston Rob back. I don't know, but we shall see. I don't know what they'll do. And in all honesty, I don't know what the better strategy is at this point. I think potentially I would recruit. Now, here's the only issue. I don't think the person has to agree. You can recruit them, but I think they have the power to say no. That happened last season, right? And I don't know what happens to your game if you try to recruit someone and they say no, and then they go back and tell other people. You got to be careful who you're going to pick, knowing that that could be an opportunity. And I think there's a few people playing this game who would probably say, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I want to be a faithful. I'll continue to stay faithful." So, I don't know. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to I look forward to every one of these episodes of The Traders, which is a good sign. All right. Cindy Hire saying that was the trilogy of terror. Thank you, Cindy. And the Zoomy doll. The Zoomy fetish doll. I just remember the doll. That challenge was that challenge was creepy. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the TV show. Yeah, the TV show is creepy, but yeah, the Traders was creepy as well. Misfire saying, watching my Cabbage Patch doll, as you should. Anyone who's got the Cabbage Patch dolls, those little troll dolls. Well, yeah, a bunch of those growing up for some reason. I don't know, those trolls just multiplied. They were at my grandmother's house. I don't remember ever buying any, but they were always all around our house everywhere. Furbies. Y'all remember Furbies? Those Furbies would just talk in the middle of the night for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, I'm thinking all kinds of scary horror movies as you mentioned. I watched only a few minutes of it. I don't know if I've ever seen a complete movie. There was a show that came out in the 80s, maybe late set, called Magic. Starred Anthony Hopkins. I didn't realize it until I was watching it over the weekend, but he's got a ventriloquist dummy. This is a creepy ventriloquist. This is like a big size ventriloquist dummy. And he's got I remember the tagline for the movie. It was all abracadabra, he sits on my knee. Hocus pocus, now he is me. And we'll just say it has to do with ventriloquism. That's creepy all by itself, right? I could just stop right there. But ventriloquism and murders and who did it, who didn't do it. Am I responsible if it's the old dummy that did it? Yeah, kind of just creepy movie starring Anthony Hopkins. Let me go off on a tangent and I'll come back to your comments. I once upon a time had a ventriloquist doll. I don't remember what his name was, but Chuck or something. I don't remember. I asked for Christmas. How old was I? Probably 9 or 10 years old. I thought it'd be cool to have a ventriloquist little dummy doll and throw my voice and do all of that. Y'all are questioning my childhood now, aren't you? I asked for it. I got it for my birthday, sort of. I opened up the box. My parents had bought it at the Sears store, went and picked it up at the local Sears store without actually opening the box, took it home. They said, "Here you go, Cliff." I opened it up. I look in there and I said, it's a doll. Not real happy. And they said, "No, pull it out. It's something special. It's not just a doll." I pulled it out. It was a Barbie beauty head. It's one of those busts, just the head of Barbie that you do makeup and hair and all of that. I said, "Yeah, no, it's just a doll for my birthday." My parents looked and said, "That's not what we ordered. There was a mess up." We went up that night to the Sears store. They'd given us the wrong order, and actually Chuck, my creepy little ventriloquist dummy, was sitting there waiting for me. And so yeah, I had there for a year or so. A little ventriloquist. I don't think I ever threw my voice. I just carried it around and kind of scared the bejesus out of people. And yeah, people probably wondering what kind of kid I was. But yeah, but Magic the movie. Check it out. Anthony Hopkins. It's got to be good if it's got him in it, right? He's a pretty good actor, but this movie kind of scary one. Maybe I'll save that for Halloween coming up here in a few months. So there you go. That's a recommendation. Snow Express and Magic. Check those out. All right. Hunter Green. Hey, Hunter. Say, Hunter, rodeo's coming up. Hope to see you there. Oh, yeah. We'll be making typically what Sharon and I do for the rodeo. And we don't have any plans yet. We've just been busy. It's just been a busy period of time for us. Holidays and my mom stuff. And just a lot of stuff going on. But typically what we do, we'll go up there. We didn't buy tickets ahead of time. So there's not any one performer that we're just like, oh, we got to go see them. We'll pick out one day and we'll go see a rodeo performance. And because I love watching the bareback ride, the bull ride, and the roping, the rodeo, the actual rodeo. And then whoever the performer is always a lot of fun. So we'll do that one time. And then the other time that Sharon and I typically go out there, we just go out to people watch. We'll go on the Midway and probably not riding rides, but we'll order up a little carnival food. We'll go in the commercial exhibits. We'll go into the livestock area and act like we know what we're doing as we check out the cows and horses and sheep and pigs and all that. It's so cool watching all the 4-H and FFA kids that are all raising these animals. But yeah, we always check that out. And we just do a lot of people watching, which is almost the most fun part of the rodeo. I'm a little disappointed. We found out the Fort Worth livestock show just wrapped up last weekend. We'd been up there doing stuff for my mom. We probably could have snuck over to Fort Worth and snuck. We could have gone over to Fort Worth and checked it out, but we just didn't realize it at the time. I grew up at that rodeo because, or the livestock show there, because my parents owned a fabric store and they had an exhibit. They had a little commercial area for the rodeo, for the livestock show, and they had a booth set up where they sold sewing machines, sewing lessons, things like that. And so for 2 or 3 weeks every year, my brother and I, as soon as school's over, we're getting hauled out there. We're hanging out at the exhibit hall, running around. That's back in the day when we couldn't get in trouble. Yeah, people weren't worried about us getting in trouble. They just say, make sure you're back by the time the sun comes down. We'd go get as many free food samples as we could. We'd sit by the radio stations until we got a chance to say our names or compete in some little contest. We lived at the stockyards for 3 weeks a year, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we missed it. But yeah, Hunter, definitely hitting the Houston rodeo a couple of times this year. I'll let you know when we got some dates picked out, because that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, what else do we have on here? Colleen saying, going to have nightmares from your story. Yeah, sorry about that, Colleen. Think of it this way. After going through experiences like that, being in a big brother house, having some people trying to boot you, not nearly as scary for me as it was for some of the other people. Now, I've been through much worse than that. You learn from experience. You develop a certain bit of thick skin as a result. But it was kind of scary, Colleen. I was sweating bullets a little bit there for a while. All right, Mark Taylor saying, what kind of dog are you dog sitting? And Miss Fire saying, what is the doggy's name? The doggy's name is Oakley. What is Oakley? A retriever? I don't know. A little bit of I hate to say mutt because I don't know, a big black dog. Michelle Moore saying, can we see the dogs? I would, but she looks pretty relaxed right now. Oakley, what are you doing, Oakley? Yeah, I think we may have to wait. I'll get her on one of these times. She's a good dog. She knows, with my son and daughter, everyone works remote nowadays, so she's used to when people start talking in front of a computer, she gets quiet. She's just chilling over here right now. We've got 2 grand dogs. My son and daughter daughter-in-law have Oakley, and then my daughter and son-in-law have Athena, and she is a blue cur terrier, something like that. I don't know. 2 different dogs, and both of them a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun dog sitting both of them. We had them both over here for a couple of days last week, but right now we've got just Oakley. Yeah, she's chilled out pretty good. She's sleeping the way I want to sleep here in a little bit. All right, Dr. Bose, how are you doing, sir? Saying besides your season, how many Big Brother contestants have you met? Oh, so many, Dr. Bose, because I went to several of the charity events over in Orlando, Give Kids the World Village. So we met a lot of them. Now, here's the thing. When you first are on the show, a lot of people from your season show up at the different little events and all of that. You're the toast of the town, so to speak. And then, now mine was a little weird because we had COVID the following year. I didn't want to go because I just didn't feel like it was necessarily safe to go and all that. But then the following year I went. But your first year, a whole lot of people show up. Second year, you've got a new cast that's all showing up. You're kind of the also rans to some degree. And then every year you have a few more people drop off. So as a result, a lot of the Big Brother contestants that I've met have been fairly recent contestants. I've met, so many from season 23. I've met a whole lot of them. Incredibly nice people. Xavier, who won that season, is just a nice guy. I really enjoyed hanging with Xavier a little bit, but I met a lot from that season. Have not really met many. I've talked to some of the ones from this past season. So I've reached out and talked to a lot of people online, but in terms of meeting them in person, not as many. Occasionally you do these little online events and things like that. And I've met I don't know, who have I met? I met Danielle Reyes from Big Brother at one of the events, and very nice person. I was amazed she knew who I was. I certainly knew who she was. Who else am I? Andy Heron and Tyler. I met a lot of the folks from the season before mine. Tyler and Casey and uh, Brett and a few others. So yeah, I've met a lot of people from the different seasons, and it's kind of a cool little close knit family of people who've been through that and kind of have a certain level of bonding or trust with other people who've gone through something similar. So yeah, I've met a few. I know there's folks I'm not thinking of right now, but I've met quite a few of them. Survivor and Big Brother both. A lot of Survivor contestants show up at these charity deals. Incredibly nice people. I've met Boston Rob. I've met Sandra Diaz. So nice. That's so incredibly nice. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I fangirl every time I meet them. I truly do. It's like, oh my God, I've seen you on TV. Now you're right here and you know who I am. That's kind of cool. Gotta say, still to this day, kind of cool. All right. Let's see. Patricia Miller saying, just finished the Silo book series and second TV series. Great story. I read the book first. I read it on some janky. I use janky all the time after watching Big Brother last season. Some kind of janky website. I feel like it was written by someone, maybe they self-published or whatever. It wasn't Random House I was reading it on. But now I like the book series, and the movie's pretty good. I feel like the movie or the TV series was a lot different than the book, or at least there's a lot that I didn't remember from the book, if it's true to form. But no, I liked them both. If you haven't checked it out, do so. It's very good. All right, other show we're watching. Well, I'm thinking Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo is part 2 or the remake, because the original Joe Schmo you aren't going to beat, but they've got this one going on. Pretty good. I will say this. I noticed that a lot of the fly on the wall production people, the people who do Big Brother, are doing the Joe Schmo show. Allison Grodner is there. Rich Meehan, one of the other producers for Big Brother, is there leading this thing. So it's very much the Big Brother people taking everything from that show and just turning it up an extra level of silly in doing this fake Joe Schmo show. But pretty good. I'm enjoying that. The other show I'm watching, 7:54. We gotta go quick. The other show I'm really enjoying, Extracted. All right, y'all checking it out? I hope you're recording it and watching it later, because I feel like it may be on as we speak. Yeah, it's probably a good thing I waited to the end to tell you that. But it's pretty good. For those of you who don't know, and I won't give away any spoilers, but for those of you who don't know, one person is out in the woods having to survive and be miserable and cold and hungry and all that. The other 2 family members, friends, etc., are off in this little bunker watching your friends suffer. And it's up to them to, one, decide how long they're going to let you suffer, because they can hit an extract button whenever they want, which pulls you out of the game, which means you don't win the money. Whoever lasts the longest wins the money. If they think you're too miserable, they can hit the button, pull you out of the game. But they also get the opportunity, it looks like, to win food or tools, things that'll make your life easier out in the boondocks by, I don't know how all they're going to win it. It reminds me a little bit like Hunger Games, where you get sponsors that send you stuff. But this is real life. As real life as reality TV can be. We've only had one episode. I think the other one was probably on tonight. So I'll be checking it out. But yeah, it's kind of cool. It's fun watching some people who seem very, very optimistic about their chances until they get out there, and suddenly it's just a lot harder than they think it is. There's shows like Alone and shows like that where they took just the most badass survivalist and put out there in the woods, and they do pretty well. This, not so much. They've got a few people who look like they could last for a while, but you get a lot of just regular, normal people as well who don't really have any business trying to hunt or build any kind of shelter whatsoever, or even just be outside without a jacket on, because they're already griping about it and wanting to be extracted. And I'm curious to see if I was out there. My family would feel so sorry for me. They know how much I hate the cold. They'd probably want to hit that extract button as soon as they saw me shivering. But I would hope I could last longer. They also know I'm incredibly stubborn when it comes right down to it. So it'd be a battle of the wills if we ever did that. Heck, for money, my family would leave me out there for a couple of years. They'd probably say, "Yeah, just send us a check. We'll give him next year. He's good. Let's let him sit out there and see what he figures out. See how long he falls for it before he finally gives up on his own." Yeah, probably. All right. They wouldn't do that. Let's see. Cindy Hire saying, My ex-husband is a ventriloquist. That's kind of cool, maybe. Or is he your ex-husband because he was a ventriloquist? I don't know what you did to it. I don't know. Maybe I should have been doing some ventriloquism in Big Brother. Well, before the wife. Yeah. Before the wife. They would have had the psychologist in talking to me even earlier in that show. Yeah, that sounds like they had some special. We all had psychologists who talked to us every once in a while. Nothing special for me, trust me, except for that ventriloquist. All right, Marilyn's saying, have you met Jessica and Cody? I have. I met them at the Big Brother premiere for this season up in Dallas. Kat was up there, and Jessica and Cody were up there. Maria from the last season of Survivor was up there. I think I'm missing out a few people. Deal or No Deal Island season 1. One of those guys was up there as well. Yeah, I met them. Nice people. I'm always amazed the couples that get together on these shows and survive. Stay together. They got kids and look like they're having a fine time. All right, Karen Loveland said, read the next book. It was Korea and Iran war that set off bombs. I'll get 5 years later next library visit. All right, thank you so much. I saw that. We're talking about a book 48 seconds later about an EMP that takes out the United States, at least takes out the electronics. Then you'd mentioned there's 48 days later, I think, which I need to read. And then I heard 48 months later as well, which is 5 years, right? I assume that's what you're talking about. I enjoyed the first one. I actually went out and looked for it on my e-reader, and it was all checked out. And I just, I probably got to Amazon or somewhere, download it, but I'm kind of gotten out of the habit of buying books. I just wait until they show up at the library and I find them and all that. But no, I definitely want to read both sequels, and yeah, I could envision that. I'm a huge fan of Tom Clancy novels. And as a kid growing up in the Cold War, I read Tom Clancy's World War III and Red Storm Rising and all these things about war starting between us and Russia, and just the worst possible. I think it's just preparing your psyche back then, because we all assumed it was just a matter of time. Glad we're past that point. I hope we're past that point. You never know if we're past that point. All right, Miss Fire saying Big Brother's a better matchmaker than The Bachelor. That's true. And I've got a theory on that. And I know it's 7:50 now, we got shut down, but I've got a theory on that. When you go on The Bachelor, your objective is to find someone to hook up with, a very specific someone, right? And it's almost like, well, even if I don't 100% like you, I got to play the game. I can't say day one. I guess you could, but I can't say, we just don't seem to vibe. So I'm out of here, guys. It's been a great 2 days. No, the objective is to kind of bite the bullet, even if you need to a little bit, and make sure you can last as long as possible with that person who is looking for a partner. Because the objective is for the two people to hook up, I feel like there's more pressure and more incentive to not be completely honest and serious about it sometimes. Whereas with Big Brother, the goal is to betray and backstab and get the other people out of the house. So if you end up meeting someone that you really feel like you connect with, that's not the objective. That's just a side note. And you quickly probably realize that it can provide some advantages in that house. So there's incentive for you to further that relationship while you're inside. And what blows me away is when you get out, because I don't believe most people that play Big Brother are the same inside the house as they are outside the house. Maybe close, but it's just the stress and everything that goes on. And yet somehow they make it work. But yeah, I think because the goal isn't to find a partner in the game of Big Brother, it makes it easier to find a partner that you're serious about, as opposed to just because that's what you're supposed to do in there. All right. With that being said, guys, I think we'll shut it down. It's 8 o'clock or just a tad over. So we'll shut it down right there. I will finish up with a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids. I love reality TV. I don't love the cold. I don't love the Andean Mountains, but I also absolutely love you guys that come out here and hang with me. So thank you so much. Speaking of cold, those of you who are in the climates a little further north, stay warm. Those of you over in Phoenix, turn the AC on. I don't know which way I'll be going over the next week or so, but stay safe. Have a great week. I will see y'all next Monday. Until then, I'll say again, SKD 143. Please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notification, hitting the thumbs up, and we'll see what happens between now and next Monday. But until then, guys, y'all have a great one. I will talk to y'all later. Cheers, my friends. Yeah, have a good week. Bye.